Hello cats and kittens. Welcome to Beau Hannam guitars and ukuleles. So I've got to do a bevel, router bevel, or router scoop, which is beveled. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've marked the perimeter of the insert, and I used this before I glued the top on. I just drew the head block, the insert, and then this is the transverse brace that goes along there. So then I just I've covered it up, but the center line's there somewhere, and then that's the edge of the insert, and then I just came in about 5 mil to this line, which might be a bit invisible. Oh, there it is. So then I'm just making it a little bit easier on myself to see what's going on when I'm routing. For the router bit, if it's a shallow bevel, you can use a 1/4 inch downward cut bit, but I'm using this, which is I'm not sure how big that is. 12.5 mil, which is 1/2 inch. Why I needed to use a larger bit was because of just the system I use. This is a Grizzly lamb trimmer from Grizzly. And this can only go in so far without it touching this, so I've filed that back a bit. It used to actually have a ball bearing there, but what I do, this is the lamb trimmers from Harbour Freight. They come with these, and what I did was on the Grizzly, I don't know, whatever you call this thing, sleeve, I put this new one. So I've got about 7 of these, and you can see how I modified it. So I just got rid of this, sanded it down until I got to this, and I sanded it, just so this is a little bit longer than this. And you could even find a smaller knob, and then normally you've got a kind of a fine tuning thing for this to go in and out, which creates the depth, but I just set this just by hand. That's usually always back as far as it can go anyway, and then tighten it up. So that's what we will be doing. Just let me tighten up this route a bit, which I can't remember if I did or not before I started filming. So on there, I'm going to project this out however deep you want. This all to be, so basically just usual purfling depth. And I'm just going to test it. I'll just go up a tiny bit. camera. So what I'm doing, I'm just testing. Testing the depth. To what 30 there. So now I just have to see how far this goes in. So not as far as I need. So the thing with a larger bit is if I was using a 1/4 inch bit, it would go to here. But if I'm using a 1/2 inch bit, I can get that deep. But this still isn't deep enough. So yes, so I just checked with a previous bevel that I did, and that is the depth that I can get with this 1/2 inch bit, and that is going to be more than enough. It's a nice sized bevel. So even though this doesn't quite go in as far as this marked line, it's going to be a nice depth to create a nice bevel. So now I'm just going to route it. So there's not going to be any stop points where I, when you're routing, it's nice to have something where the router just butts up against and you can't actually go any further. But I'm going to have to just keep an eye on everything and do this by hand and sight. So with some good ear protection and eye protection, I will route. Okay, so that is the result. And I just have to clean this edge and this edge up, and in here with a scalpel and chisel to get the nice corners. I actually should have left a bit more wood here, sort of this much wood. It just makes scalpeling a little bit easier, I find, if there's a touch more, but that's fine. So now I just have to measure this depth from that edge to the outer part of the side and go down from there to get the side cut. And for that, I'm going to use this bit from LMI. This is the bit from StewMac. They're effectively the same, although, well, they are exactly the same, but they're slightly different diameters, so you've kind of got to buy, you know, the bearings from StewMac to go with the cutter from StewMac, and the bearing from LMI to go with the cutter from LMI, if you want to get consistent depth of cut. So you know, when you're filming, there's never ever a good place to put the camera. It's just always awkward, no matter where you stand. So that's the measurement from that edge to the outside of the side. So we just have to transfer that to here. Just use something flat. So this isn't the top that we've got to measure from, it's this part of the top. So you just have to project that out and then now you've got that mark, you can carry it around. And then using something flexible, so there we go. And just extend that line down to create the miter. You do one first and then the other. Okay. Now I'll just set the depth of this router. Yes, I know this router has this, but on this particular one it doesn't work very well. That's why I'm doing it this way. So keep your smart ass comments to yourself. So what was I saying before about okay, here's the line. Actually, what I'll do, I'll just mark the line with a bit of tape just to make it easier on you and me. Okay, so there's the line that we have to route to. And there we go. So what I should have done, and I knew this before I started filming, but I just didn't do it, was do the side first, because when you do the side, when you route the side first, when you route the top first, then you have to use this ledge on here, and you have to kind of stop prematurely. So I'll be stopping about here because I just can't go any further. There is a kind of a way around that. If I glued some actually I could probably just use something like this. Then I could ride that on top of this to go around here. You just obviously have to change the depth. Sorry. But it's actually not a problem, and you just scalpel it away and chisel it away. It's fine. So this is me routing the side. So just so I can see what's going on when I'm routing, because things are hard to see when there's a big router in the way and all the noise and stuff, I just put some tape on the side where I need to stop. Even though I will physically not be able to go there, I just want that just for some insurance in case something weird happens, like a pandemic or something. So that's the side routed. So that's the same depth that way as the top is that way. And then I will just use a chisel, scalpel and chisel on a ruler to take this line evenly up there and down there. Then I'll add the beveling and do the rest. And that is how you route. There are different ways to do this. So to do the top, you could use a rabbet binding bit like this with a tiny bearing. You could also just use this without the guide and just freehand it to the line or close to the line, and then scalpel the nice curve. I've done that before. But this using a 1/2 inch, using the 1/2 inch bit seems like you get a nice depth and a nice bevel. But if you went up to a 3/4 wide bit, you would get 1/8 more, which is almost up to the line that I previously had. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say on that, I think. Other than don't do what I just did. Route the side first and then the top. That's about it. But it doesn't matter. Either way, you've got to scalpel and chisel this corner down, so it really doesn't make much difference. Thank you very much. Bye. Still some cleanup to do, but all in all, she done.